What is up, besties? It is your host Zoe, and I'm back with another episode on the I Overshare Podcast this week. So grateful to be in your guys' presence. Hope you guys are doing good. Life is good. I just went back to school. If you did, I hope it's going good. If you haven't, well, good for you. Good for you. I'm so happy for you. I have no business to catch up with. None at all, actually. So if you haven't caught up with other episodes, you can go do that in your free time. Walking to class, taking a shower, cleaning your room. There's so many things you could be doing. But today's episode is, at what point are we good enough? Because I feel like forever it's always a competition with ourselves. We're never good enough. We're never where we want to be. We're never enough. And I feel like so many people their whole lives go through this where we're just sitting here and we're like, so what can I do? Can I be prettier? Like, do I got to be smarter? Do I got to be stronger, more in shape? Like, the comparison goes and goes and changes our entire lives. So I'm going to ask you the question today. At what point will you decide you're good enough? Or, will you hate yourself your life? Because honestly, babe, that's what we're getting down to. Because when I'm talking to myself and I feel down on myself and I feel like I'm not enough or I'm not doing enough or something's not going right, it's like when I turn that thing on where it's like, okay, well, am I just not pretty? I need to be prettier. Well, babe, how can you do that when you were born with this face? Accept yourself how you are and accept that you are pretty, you're gorgeous no matter what. There's no such thing as prettier, okay, wait. That didn't make sense. Saying skinnier, prettier, stronger, some of this stuff, yes, we can achieve. But if you hate yourself, you're not going to be happy either way. The only thing I'd say that works with is money. Because, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but when that paycheck hits, suddenly I'm happy. Now, if I'm sitting in the mirror every day and being like, okay, what can I do to make myself prettier? Are you genuinely going to be happy? I feel like you need to do things that are genuine with you. You know what they say, you can't go to the gym because you hate your body expecting you to love it when you're done. Because you still hate yourself, babe. You never healed that within you, Also, this video will be on YouTube. So, yeah. But, we just ask all these questions until it's not enough. You're still 50 years old and you're asking yourself, what can I do to be better? And what can I do to be good enough for myself, which is a battle I've been fighting my whole life. Better, I didn't mean to say that because that's a whole different thing. We could do so many things day to day to be better, But are we going to keep pushing ourselves past our limits and, setting these crazy expectations that, are really hard to maintain? Or it's like people, and I'm not against plastic surgery at all. Do what you do, girl. Your money. I really don't care. Also, your life. But I feel like some people will be like, okay, well, I should get lip filler because I hate myself. No, if you're going to get lip filler, do it because I love myself now, but I feel like I'd love myself even more. I feel like that's not a problem, but when we set up these expectations with hate and with disregard and with, I don't know, it's just disingenuine for real. Because why? I don't know. I just feel like we put so much pressure on ourselves to be more than what we are. And a lot of it's not easy to obtain. We honestly, if you have your genetics and that's the way you're built, the way you are, that's why you're shaped the way you are, you look the way you are, you cannot you can, but you should not spend your whole life hating yourself because of it. You shouldn't. That should not be a thing. So, babe, I really want you to sit here throughout this episode today and think, okay, when will I finally see myself as good enough? If you can think of certain things you can do, and maybe, I'm not talking about jobs. I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about everything within you, within yourself. I want you to think about that. Why don't you think you're good enough? I want you to sit down as well during this and name the things. I want you to list them. But I also want you to think, if I was standing in front of you, or if one of your best friends or your little sister or your niece or somebody was standing in front of you and they had these exact same things that you're dealing with, right? Would you look at them and say, I don't think you're good enough because your lips aren't that big. I don't think you're good enough because your eyebrows aren't that full. I don't think you're good enough because this, that, and the other, which is how you feel about yourself. You wouldn't say that to somebody else. I mean, maybe some of y'all would, but I know most of y'all won't. And that's what I'm saying. If you wouldn't say that to somebody else, why are you speaking that way to yourself? Why? Because they're not any less of a person because they don't have those thick eyebrows. They're not any less of a person because they don't have thick hair. Neither are you. They're not less of a person because they weigh less than you. They're not less of a person because they weigh more than you. That's not a battle you would pick with somebody else, so why are you picking it with yourselves? And yes, I do understand the fine difference between understanding and be like, oh, I want to get more in shape. Oh, I want to eat healthier, I want to cut out this, I want to cut out that, I want to heal my gut, I want to do this. But it gets toxic when we think of the point, I want to lose weight because that's the beauty, like, standard I see. Or I want to get a BBL because that's the beauty standard I see. No, babe, if you're going to go get a BBL, do it because you as a secure woman want a BBL. Don't do it because you feel like you're not enough as you are for the world or for yourself. And I really hope that makes sense. Like, I'm not trying to say don't do this because, like, you're insecure. Because, like, of course, we all have our insecurities. But if you don't learn to love yourself at your truest form, I don't believe you'll love yourselves when you change. I don't believe you'll love yourself if you hit that gym every day and you're a bodybuilder, but you still have that hatred inside of you within your own self. Because, I mean, that's you. That's you, babe. You gotta accept you for who you are. You can't keep pushing that away. You need to hate and love her at the same time. And if you still want to change her after that, do it. Do it. All props to you, bitch. Do it. But we have to hit that point where we finally see ourselves as enough and say we want to add on some more sprinkles, And it's like, I feel like society has a big pressure on it. It's like we all know society has a huge pressure on, why beauty standards are the way that they are. But I also think, it goes back to mother wounds. It goes back to childhood. It goes back to trauma. It goes back to so many things. So I feel like a lot of the time we try to hide it in trends. We try to mask it within ourselves and just say, oh, it's a glow up that I'm putting myself in the gym and stuff like that. Actually, did that make sense? I hope that made sense. But I feel like that's what we tend to do rather than saying, waking up and being like, my cellulite doesn't make me less than a fucking human and I don't need it filled. But if I did have and then you got to get to the point where you're like, oh, I don't particularly love my cellulite, but I'm human and I'm a woman and I got some thick thighs. I am who I am, but I still want them filled. That's where we need to get, rather than the trend on social media is, ew, why can I see her cellulite in her shorts? Because she's human, because they're human, what, question mark? And I feel like we just need to not connect ourselves with that at all. Which it's like everybody repeats and says all the time, where they're like, you know what, don't listen to the beauty standards, I'm sorry, this is trending and this is trending. Which I feel like trends aren't necessarily a bad thing, because we can get a lot of good out of them. We can get a lot of character and creativity and, a lot of inspiration from trends. But I feel like there's just so much hate within it, especially as like a growing person. Like, we're growing every single day. So when you fall into the cycle of hating yourself because you're in your natural state, that's when the problem occurs. And that's when we're sitting here, because when I'm saying when are we going to be enough, I'm not talking about enough for other people. I'm not talking about enough for your ex, enough for your boyfriend, enough for your parents, enough for your siblings. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for yourself. Like, there's some people who have this obsession with like academic success, like all that, and they'll like study their ass off because they feel like they're not smart enough. No matter what they do, they will not be the best until they're number one everywhere. And then they hit college and they, like, say they got denied from like Harvard, right? And now they're crumbling. It's because you cannot place your worth in other people's hands, in my opinion. Like, so what Harvard denied you? That does not mean you're any less or any less smarter than what you thought you were. But some people will chase and chase and chase these goals. And then I see like friends with horrible parents who failed, and their parents like literally hate themselves because they spent their whole lives chasing for these ideals they're not going to reach. And the reason they're not going to reach them is because you guys, I feel like we place such like big expectations on something, but the limitations are so much more. You know, we can't be the best in the world. Like, realistically, maybe in some genres, in some areas we can, but like you keep chasing and chasing and chasing a goal, but you keep making it higher. You're making it farther the more you go. So it's like, will it ever be enough? Because now I'm looking at adults in their lives and they're not enough, but now they're reflecting it onto their kid because they want their kid to make the life for them they never had, you know? Now I want to send my daughter, so I chased this academic success my entire life, and I just kept growing and growing, and I just never felt smart enough. And damn, now I hate myself, but now I have kids and a husband. So now I'm going to send my daughter to every private school, make her work her ass off, and if she doesn't get an A, I'm going to degrade her and make her feel bad about it. Like, I've seen people's parents like that. I've seen on social media like that. And that is the cycle I feel like we end up repeating and repeating and repeating simply because we don't feel good enough. You know, you're everything you need to be. You're pretty enough. You're smart enough. You are everything you need to be just being you. You know, there's no race to the finish line. There's no who's going to finish first, who's going to finish the best. You are you, and if you are finishing first in your own lane, that is fine. And it is great to have goals, and it is great to have ideals on who you want to be. If you want to get a breast reduction, if you want to get your boobs bigger, and that is something you've always felt strongly about and you felt comfortable enough about, do it. Do it. But do not wallow in hatred and self-pity and, you know, keep giving yourself impossible tasks to complete because you don't feel like you're enough for yourself. Because you're just going to hate yourself. You're going to die hating yourself. And that's not what we want to be. And you are enough, and I need you to realize that. You don't need to fight for pretty privilege. You don't need to fight for academic validation from professors, from teachers, from your parents, and more. You're a beautiful soul just being you. You don't need all these superficial and extra things and other people's opinions to pave that for you, you know? You don't need all this extra stuff. And I'm telling you that now. It might feel like you do, but you don't. And most of us know how it feels to not be chosen or not be enough for someone. Why the hell would we want to keep doing that to ourselves? We know this feeling. It's very familiar. Why would we keep doing that to ourselves? It's like we just cause ourselves pain and pain and pain. And there was a poem I seen, and I'm just going to read it. I don't know where it's from, what book or anything like that. But it was like, the way you speak to yourself, the way you degrade yourself into smallness is abuse. Because it is abuse. It's verbal abuse. It's mental abuse. You degrading yourself and making yourself feel less and less and less. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. My hair is not long enough. My ass not fat enough. I'm not skinny enough. You know, I don't have this. I don't have that. You're literally degrading and abusing yourself. You are. When are you going to accept the fact that you're human? You're going to be different. You're going to be you. You might be a little rough around the edges, but you're beautiful no matter what. When are we going to get to that point where that becomes the standard rather than never being enough is the standard? Because I just feel like that is where we're at majority of the time. And I don't know how to fix that. You know, you will always carry a big empty void in your heart because you keep trying to be different and it's not being fulfilled. You know, this void, let's think of it as a box, you know, and this like specific, what is it? There's like specific items that fit into the box perfectly, right? But you keep throwing items, thinking you're going to get better, but nothing fits other than the original fucking pieces. You keep adding fucking more that don't align with what's going on. and you're just not getting better. We're not getting better. So now we got to keep going to the next thing, getting better, and, you know, finding new solutions and doing that. We're never going to be fulfilled and happy if we spend our whole lives hating ourselves for being us. You cannot spend your whole life hating yourself for being you. You have been you since you came out the cooch, since you came out the stomach, wherever the hell you came from. You have been you the second you came out. And if you just keep spending your entire life rejecting it and not accepting it, babe, you're fucked, your kid's fucked. Like, where are we at? You need to love yourself before you try to love anybody else. So this is why we tend to take that feeling into relationships where it's like, oh, I'm not good enough for them. Babe, you're not even good enough for yourself. I don't know why the hell you thought you were going to... I don't know why the hell you thought you were going to be good enough for them, babe. You don't even like yourself. So it's like you're giving your all and on to this relationship when you don't see... Why the fuck... Girl, we can't be surprised by these, you know, repeating actions. And yes, I have talked about episodes that you guys can listen to about not feeling enough for others. You can go find those because that's a whole different sensitive topic. And, girl, we have all felt it. But you are everything you need to be. Allow yourself to complete you. Allow you being you to make you whole at the end of the day. Just allow it. Because it's not worth it to hate yourself your whole life rather than just accepting you are who you are. And if you want to find some more that can add on to what you want at the end of the day, that's fine. But it needs to come from love and it cannot come from hate. So when are you going to be enough? Because I need to ask myself this question. If I look at what's something that bothers me? I don't know offset. But like, let's say I get out of the shower and I'm waking up and I'm really, you know, bloated. My stretch marks are getting extra dark today. Like, you know, shit like that. And I just keep ridiculing myself and talking nasty about myself in the mirror. And I'm like, why don't I look like this? Why don't I do this? Why don't I, you know what? You know, I'm going to start eating better because of this. You know, I'm going to start just not eating and doing that. Like, shit like that, setting standards like that also leads to, like, EDs and depression and self-harm and so much because that hate for ourselves just grows and grows and grows and then it just overflows. Bitch, that kind of... Okay, bitch, I'm a rapper. Anyway, it just goes and goes. But you do not need to be extremely hard on yourself. You're doing enough. I'm just going to keep reminding you of this. And I feel like this episode needs to be that reminder for you that you're enough as this person you are right now. Goals are wonderful. Goals are great motivation and all of that. And, you know, wanting more for yourself in different departments is great. Is fucking great. But you need to love yourself first. You need to accept yourself first. So when you do end up going into those relationships and he didn't think you were enough for him, it's okay, bitch. I don't need you. I'm enough for myself. You know what? You were just, what they say? You're an addition. You're an addition. I'm fine, but you're an addition. So you need to be enough for yourself at the end of the day. Because you'll never be enough for anybody if you don't even love yourself. I mean, you will be enough for everybody, but, like, you know, like, mentally, you know, you're not. But just don't, because then it also, not even in relationship, it passes those insecurities onto your kids. Now your kids are going to, the whole time they're growing up, they're watching you in the mirror saying, oh, I look fat. And now your daughter's growing up thinking she looks fat. It's literally in, like, a woman's genes to do that, to pick up on that as a child, especially from your mother. You need to be good enough for you. And that is what I hope this episode reminded you of today, that you need to be enough for you always and forever. And it's time you think about, I am enough. I am enough. You know, I'm not about to keep chasing this invisible finish line for no reason. I am here. This is where I'm at. I have a couple of goals that can get me farther. But if I remain here, no matter what, I'll be secure. You know what? I might want a bigger ass, but I'm okay if I never get that. Well, just playing. But we need to start thinking like that, and I really hope you guys got that, because you are. You are enough, and I need you to see that for yourself, because God, it is such a terrible, long road to go down if you spend years and years and years and years hating yourself, because it just morphs into so many things. And don't carry that big empty void within yourself. I need you to sit with it, sit with all your insecurities, and ask yourself, why do I feel this way for me? Whoever told me this was ugly? Was it me or was it society? Because if I never had these pressures put on me, would I still think I was ugly? If I seen another woman looking at me and she had these stretch marks, this cellulite, this tummy, you know what, really big boobs or really small boobs, whatever you want to say, would I bash her? Would I shame her? And if you would, girl, bows. Don't do that. We're not that. But if I seen her, would I tell her she's ugly? Would I say, you know, there's a couple bitches out there like that. You know what? Anyway, would I sit here and tell her she's ugly? Would I say, oh, I hate your cellulite. I hate your stretch marks. Why are they different colors? Why do you have a stomach? Stop eating. Stop doing that. Because that's how you sound talking to yourself. Stop doing it. And that, I think, is today's episode. Because I don't know. I want you guys to love yourself so hardly and so fully and be so fulfilled in everything you do, in every single way you look, no matter what, because you are the prize and you will always be the prize. I just need you to see it in your own eyes and from yourself through and through. And if you ever need that reminder to when are you going to be enough, or listen when you feel like you're not enough, you know the podcast to come to. Anyways, this episode will be up on YouTube as well, video included. If you like that, I am going to be doing those now because people like videos, so I'm going to do that. And yeah, follow the Did I Overshare Instagram, the Did I Overshare TikTok. And yeah, I always post forms on my Instagram. My main one is ZOEXEE, which is also in the description. And then on the Did I Overshare one of like, if you guys want certain podcast episodes and stuff like that. So that's always available. And like I always say, I love you guys so much. Bye, besties. Thank you so much for everything.